Okay, so I'm going to talk about a mount A-game system I like to use. So from the mount position, the first thing is just to establish a solid connection. So I want to make sure I get my hooks in, get the head control, turn it this way a little bit, so I have a nice strong solid connection that he can't just push me right off. Now I have three pathways I like to take from here. One is to try to get the underhook. Get under the elbow, walk the fingers up, kind of capturing the head and the arm position. And this is going to offer up a link of attacks. If I'm here and I'm trying to get under the elbow and he's tightening that elbow in real hard, I'm having a hard time, I can switch to the wrists, pinning the wrist down, and move to shin on the bicep. From here, I'm going to drag the forearm over my hip and then pinch the back of the shoulder with my knee. And then here I have a chain of attacks to work from. If I'm having trouble getting under the arm or pinning the wrists, I'm going to climb the tree to high mount. And then from high mount, move to S mount. And we have more attacks. So those are the three pathways I'm going to take. All right, now I'm going to go back and focus on the underhook position. So I have the head, I have the hooks. I'm going to work the underhook by getting my wrist underneath the elbow. I'm going to finger walk to lift his elbow up above his head. And from here, the farther I walk, just getting the elbow higher to higher, the better. Have a couple of different options. One is to cup his arm now with this hand, just trade it off. So I can slide this one down, pushing the elbow across and move for the head and arm choke. So here I could go palm to palm, use my hooks to drive in, get that shoulder pressure and get the choke. From the head and arm, of course, I have a chain of attacks, right? So maybe I have to bend him out and move to side control to finish. So I could do so here. If he's trying to defend with the arm by the head, I could go for the shoulder lock. If he's trying to turn away from me, I could turn this into the Ezekiel choke. Or I could start to take his back. Also from that underhook position, I'm gonna walk it up. This time, I'm gonna put my hand on top of my wrist, lift his head up, and then cup the back of his neck with that hand. From here, I can grab his wrists and post for the key lock. If when I'm doing that, I'm having a hard time getting to pin the arm around the head, I can feed the wrist to the hand, move to side mount, and then I have attacks from here, one being the arm bar. So there's more we can get into with the head and arm, but there's a place to start. Now again, if I'm trying to get to that underhook position and he's tightening the elbow, I'm gonna switch for the wrist. It's really important here that I'm really engaging my far side hook so I don't get bridge. I want my hip to be in tight. I'm kind of pulling on the neck, giving shoulder pressure, creating an angle where I'm strong. I'm gonna roll my elbow in and then we can push down. As I push down, I'm even going to be pulling on the head to get that counter force. Boom. So we're here, I post my arm straight, slide that shin over the bicep, and I'm going to just slide from the head to the sleeve over here and drag this arm up over the hip. Might need to use my second hand to help a little bit as I just pin the hand down. Once we have a trap between the leg and the body, my hands aren't quite as important. I can focus on basing, right? So the immediate attack I have is the Kimura here. Or when I'm in this situation, I could sit back for a triangle. I might like encourage it. Before I go back, I don't want his arm to be fully hugging my leg. So I slide up over the wrist like this. and I'm just over top, pretending like I'm doing something else. And as he goes to roll me over, I move into my diamond guard, and then transition to the triangle. So I'm gonna pin the wrist down. So if I'm going for the underhook, what if he tucks his elbow in really tight? Then I go for the wrists. I post the wrist down. Boom. Boom, nice and tight right here. So also from here, I can sit on the chest, bring the leg over, and go for the monoplata very easily here. Okay, so we have the underhook, we have the wrist control. If I'm having trouble getting either one of those, which are both very low risk for me, which is why I like them, boom, I'm gonna try to switch to high mount. So I'm gonna base my hand right above the shoulder. And if we focus on just that alone for a minute, if he's trying to shoulder walk, I'm making it difficult by being very heavy on the hand, all right? So we're here to here. Because I'm gonna disengage my hooks for a moment, and as I do that, I'm gonna pinch my knees really tight, bring my hips forward, and then shoot my knees up under the elbows as I cup the hips with my feet. So if we focus on that for a moment, now if I let go of the hand, now if he shoulder walks, he takes me with him. But if my feet are down on the mat, he gets right back to where he was. So between my hand on the shoulder or above the shoulder and my feet to the hips, if he's trying to shoulder walk back up, he's stuck. Meanwhile, I'm gonna start to bring my knee over the head here. And once we get to this situation, my heel's tight to the hip. We kind of have different things. You know, if he tries to take his arm underneath my leg, as if he's gonna escape the back door, right there. That's the opportunity we have for the triangle. So as soon as he goes under, I just wanna make sure I cup his head. So if he tries to throw my leg over, he's just throwing it into a triangle. Look, I'm gonna switch off. And we can get the triangle here. Or of course, the arm bar when we're inside that triangle. So have the head control. I'm gonna switch to blocking the shoulder. Hips up, knees tight. Climb the tree. Move the S mount. If he's not taking the bait this time, I'm just gonna swing that heel up, bring it to the head. So now we're in a full S mount position where I can effectively attack the arm. Finish the arm bar just like this in this situation. It's a little bit more of a low risk arm bar sometimes. I'm just gonna base my hand to the hip, bring my shin over the head, and then apply the hip pressure. So the idea here is, once again, is to, when we get the mount position, to solidify it, and then move to either head and arm control, pin the wrist down, moving the shin over the bicep, and then lastly moving up to high mount and S mount area. One more thing is that whenever you're transitioning to mount, you know, trying to get right into that tight mount position. Let's say we're here maybe. Boom. I'm transitioning to mount here. Many ways to transition to mount, but look, I want to start thinking about my underhook as soon as possible. If I can get there right away, it's even better. So look, I might start underhooking now. Bring the arm around the head, and we're gonna like stick it right in that position, right? So now I can start to lift the elbow up and work for the head and arm choke, or switch over and work for the key lock, and start getting right into these moves. And then eventually you're gonna start to see how, you know, arm bars connect to key locks connect to arm bars, head and arm chokes connect to arm bars, head and arm chokes connect to back takes, arm bars connect to back takes. All of these basic moves, they all feed off one another and connect to one another. So you're creating a big web of movements of attacks just by focusing on those three pathways. And again, the first two pathways, head and arm and shin and bicep, are very low risk pathways, so very easy to recover if things aren't working out. But this is one of the A-game systems that I like to use for mountain position.